Hey everyone, welcome to the Growin Up Podcast. We're your hosts. My name's Nevaeh.
And my name's Amber.
And if you haven't tuned in with us before, we talk about everything and anything that has to do with growing up. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, stay tuned for this episode. So we like to start every episode off with a learning session. So basically what that is we talk about something that we've learned over the past week or so. Can't remember who went. I think I went last. So go ahead, Amber.
Yeah. Didn't put a lot of thought into this today, not gonna lie.
You said that last week.
I say that every week. What did I learn?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I actually was prepared this time. And I think this is funny because last time I had like a very interesting like learning topic, but I feel like this one will also probably be in that same kind of category. But for those of you who don't know me, like personally, I tend to go fishing a lot. And I feel like it's not by choice, but my lovely husband enjoys fishing. So I feel like we grew up fishing too, but again, it was never my choice to go fishing. Let me just say that. But this past weekend we went fishing, and I can confidently like say I can like set up a fishing pole.
Wow.
Yeah, and I am learning how to do the knots to put on like the hooks and stuff like that. I like can take off my own fish off of my line, and like, that's pretty impressive for somebody who like never wanted to touch said fish. And yeah, and I'm also getting like really into like the bait and what kind of bait is needed for each type of fish, and what like when you don't need a bobber, when you need a bobber, when you should reel and not reel. And so I'm getting actually pretty good at it, even though, again, like it's not my choice to go fishing, but at least I'm learning something from it. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that brings me to a little side comment. But I know I'm going to get into this whole bird watching thing, which I promise I will. I'm just a little occupied right now. But I was telling my husband that I think when I'm like old and retired, I want to do like fishing competitions.
Oh my gosh. Okay, like on north of Nord.
Yeah, well, okay, maybe not
A
like
couple
that
things.
intense. Maybe like
You
a
and
like a
me.
trout or something, but not like super
Fine.
intense. But something like where I can like test my skills and whatnot. So I think that might
Yeah.
be in said future.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your fishing journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so my learning session for this week is actually very nerdy. But one thing that I have been looking into, so for those who don't know, I just moved into a 3-story townhome. Sounds like my TikToks. And so 3 stories, biggest house I've ever lived in, right? And I've realized that internet, what you can't just get away with one modem router, right? Like it just doesn't
Yeah.
work. So we have the modem router on the top floor, but the internet sucks down on the first floor. So I went and I reached out to the best nerds I know, which is the team that I work with, and I asked them about a mesh system. And I asked them about a mesh system. So this is what I'm going to teach you, what I learned. So when I was doing research on like how I can get my internet to extend, I learned about 2 different types of ways that you can get Wi-Fi to go farther, basically. The first
Oh.
system is a Wi-Fi extender, and the second system is a mesh system. So a Wi-Fi extender is more of the basic route, but it's not like easier to install, but like less capabilities in a sense. So
Yeah.
what a Wi-Fi extender is like you can actually buy like extender plugs with usually the company that you have your Wi-Fi with. So you get a plug and you just plug it into the outlet. And how it works is your modem router transports the Wi-Fi to these extenders, and then the extender just helps push the Wi-Fi a little farther. So if we were to go that route, we buy plugs, we put them on each floor, and we will get internet throughout the house. Now, you know me, I'm a nerd. That wasn't good enough. So I looked into mesh systems, and mesh systems are like the next level of nerdiness where you most likely will buy your own router modem as opposed to like renting the one that you get from, like Cox or Xfinity or whatever. So you buy that, and it comes with other devices that you put through the house, just like the plugs. And what it does is rather than extending it, it creates its own Wi-Fi. So you can actually have different wireless transmitters on each floor, or you could just have the same one, but it like, so rather than extending, it creates, so extending would just be a bunch of little rings extending out, but mesh system creates circles on circles so that it's still extending, but it's its own system on each floor. So you have to see a visual for this to make sense. Maybe I'll insert visual here, but basically there's two ways, but one thing that I really want to get into is once you have a mesh system, you can do more things. There's more capabilities, like changing your VPN. So what I want to do with that is, don't maybe I shouldn't answer this, but you can, so you know how you get local sports when you're in an area? I can change the VPN to say I'm in North Carolina and I can get Eastern games instead.
Oh,
So
wow. That's kind of cool.
so you can say wherever you are. And obviously there's like security things, more security capabilities that you can do with mesh systems as well. So it's like running your own wireless internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you actually, like, is this going on in your house right now?
No, but I asked, so that's why I asked the best nerds. I asked my teammates, I was like, hey, does anyone have a mesh system? And like, if you do, like, what are the recommendations? And I'm the only one on my team who doesn't have a fucking mesh system. They were all like recommending me all their different like systems that they do. And one of them says he has internet on like multiple acres of land. And it makes so much sense because I always wondered how he would like join meetings from the middle of the forest. And he like pushed all these mesh systems so far out into his land up in the mountain that he can literally like go to a patio almost a mile away and still have internet from his home.
Wow. That's cool. Well, considering, Amber, your previous home was like the size of the room you're in right now. So I don't think you needed a mesh system at that point.
Yeah. But
that's
it's
cool, though.
Cool. Yeah. And then it's also making me realize that like a lot of people probably have mesh systems once you start getting a house that's probably bigger than 3-bedroom, or like, you know, more than 1,500 square feet is when you probably start needing that.
Yeah, well, that makes me think, because like universities, like you can get internet anywhere you're at on campus, literally anywhere. Yeah. And it like also connects different places too. Like I actually, when I went to University of Utah, I didn't have to connect to the internet because I was already connected to the internet at UNC. It was the same internet.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
It's so weird. I was like, what? They have EDU Roam? And I was roaming.
That's funny. So yeah, hopefully it made a little bit more sense. Like if you don't know about it, like you should definitely look into it if you have a big home or something like that, because
or lots of land.
Because it seems like it's very useful, and there's a lot of things that you can do if you're really wanting to get into the nerdy side.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah. So speaking of school, it's becoming graduation season. It feels like it was only a year ago that I graduated.
You can't say that to me and then say that to yourself, knowing that you're older than me.
Okay, fine. Yeah, you're right. And by graduation, I mean high school graduation. That's kind of like the theme of this. I mean, obviously it's graduation season in general, but we're taking it way back to high school graduation. So today's theme is we're going to talk about who we are today versus who we were in high school. So grown up us versus high school us.
Yeah.
So we're throwing it back.
Yes, way back. And really just talking about like our perception of what we thought adulthood was going to be at such a young age, young and fresh out of the nest kind of time. So
yeah. So before we get into the deep end of it, let's kind of talk about like our high school, because we went to the same high school, for those who don't know. So we kind of had similar experiences up until senior year, right?
Definitely different generations, which I feel like is what made it so different. Okay. But sorry, but like
you were only 5 years after me.
Okay, but you were in different generations. That's just facts. Right. But we did go to the same high school. So like obviously teachers change, vibes change, trends change. You know,
we all change.
It's different.
So we went to school in Flagstaff, Arizona. For those who don't know, Flagstaff, Arizona, it's like northern Arizona, mountain town, granola vibes. if you guys haven't watched our episode on growing up granola, definitely go check that out. It was one of our first couple episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so mountain town, granola vibes.
Yeah, I think it's also important to also note too that it is like decently close to the reservation. So a lot of times it's referred to as like a border town because there is like just a like generally high population of Native Americans. Our school actually
Yeah.
was like had like a dormitory where it would allow like students from the reservation to go stay in those dorms and go to our high school, which I don't think a lot of people know of, like that whole concept.
Yeah.
But it was like a decently large school, like maybe like 300-ish people. And like I know at least my graduating class, at least 100
Wait,
of them were
300
natives.
total?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was my class, 300.
No, oh yeah, your class. Sorry, yeah, like yeah, you're right. And then at least my graduating class is like 100 of them were natives.
Wow,
So,
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Maybe a little bit more than that, but
yeah. So the school was definitely like big for it being a town because the town only had 2 major high schools, but it was small enough where everybody knew each other, even at both schools, which is kind of funny.
No, yeah,
so I feel like
that's what I was gonna say. It was like small enough to like where people like knew each other because they grew up with each other, or like they should have grown up with each other, but like a little bit big enough because of like the different like dynamics that like sometimes you would get new people also.
yeah,
That, like, moved in.
no. Fun fact: when it was my graduation year, there was like maybe 10 or so of us who actually started kindergarten together in Flagstaff. And they sent out, somebody took the initiative, sent out a group, and we were all going to sign like a card for our kindergarten teacher because we were all
Aw.
graduating that year and we were all still in Flagstaff and we all went to kindergarten together in Flagstaff.
Aw, that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all this to say, it was a very stereotypical high school, but with a little bit of different twists. Like there was still like the general, like, you know, the jocks, the cheerleaders, the nerd, you know, very Mean Girls-esque, if I will.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. No, you're right. So I guess now we kind of talk about what we were really like in high school. I think some of you may have known us back in high school that listen to us, but if you're like new here and don't know us personally, you'd probably be surprised with with who we were back then.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool.
I was cool too. I was popular. I'm just kidding. No, I was on a scale of 1 to 10 popularity. I was probably like a 7.5. So
Okay.
like I knew a lot of people, and I think a lot of that too came from me growing up in Flagstaff. So I knew like the Flagstaffians, you know, and then I was also native, so I knew a lot of the kids who lived in the dormitory. Fun fact, my closest friend actually lived in a dorm, so which is kind of weird, you know, to have your closest friend in high school be one of the kids who stayed in the dorm throughout the whole thing. So a little different. I was a nerd for sure. And by nerd, I wouldn't say like nerdy. I was just smart. So I took a lot of the higher advanced classes, which also I think helped boost my popularity because then I like got a good diverse friend circle.
Group. Yeah.
Yeah. So smart. I was smart. I played basketball my freshman year and that was it. So I didn't do sports. I like sports, but I just, you know, got cut. So
Well, you did college classes, and if you know anything about college classes in high school, like at least at our high school, you couldn't do both. I think that's what contributed a lot to it, is that like you had to choose one or the other, unfortunately, because the classes were like after like school hours, so which when practice would be. So I think that contributed.
But I also got cut my sophomore year, so I was never making it to senior year. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was me. I bet you didn't know that, did you?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, I tried out for basketball my sophomore year, didn't make it. But I was still friends with all the sports people, you know, so that also like kind of kept me in there in that circle. I hung out with a lot of the same people throughout high school. But as like you said, once I started taking college classes, my circle group kind of shifted a little bit because I was spending more time in college classes than I was at high school. So um, I would say like I kept the same friend group throughout high school, but it kind of started to diversify a lot more toward my junior, senior year. But that was kind of me. I was a secretly bad kid in high school. So, like, although I was doing really good in school and like I had some really good friends and I was going to college, I also, you know, still had my times where I would go around and hang out with friends after hours and do stuff like that. I also had a car in my junior and senior year, so I was cool because I had a vehicle and I got to drive to school.
You could go on
Uh,
lunch.
yeah, I could get away for lunch. I could ditch school and drive somewhere like on those assembly days. I'm not sure if you guys did that, but we used to ditch every time we had an assembly day. Um, and we'd just go have lunch somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah.
I kind of remember your era, your high school era.
Yeah. So I was kind of like the leader of my friends, I would say. I like did a lot of the planning, like with my close circle. I planned some trips. I, you know, was the one with a car. So I feel like I did have the opportunity to call a lot of the shots in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, Also, like I said, a lot of my friends lived in a dorm, so I was the only free bird. So my mom would actually go and check out some of my friends from the dorm, and they would hang out with me. So, um, yeah, that was kind of me in high school. Um, not not. I guess I wasn't that much different. I'm still kind of the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you add
I
to that? What would you add to that though?
I no, I think you're pretty spot on. I think you were very much like an outgoing person for sure, and but because we went to so many different schools also, I feel like you weren't like always like restricted to like your own high school as well. So like you had literally friends like all over, like out home on Hopi, Grand
Yeah,
Canyon. So like it's not, I feel like that didn't end there during your high school
yeah.
year.
Actually, that's a good thing to point out because so for those who don't know, Flagstaff is a very central to just northern Arizona in general, and we grew up all out throughout northern Arizona. So even though like before high school I went to all these different schools, a lot of people from those random schools ended up going to Flagstaff High School. So I would go to people with I would go to school with people in Grand Canyon, and then when I went to Flag High, some of those people ended up going to Flag High as well, and some of the people I went to school with out on the res ended up at Flagstaff High School as well. So I think that also added to my popularity because I knew people from all over Arizona in a sense. Um,
Yeah.
and I forgot to mention, I made music in high school. And that meant that I also knew a lot of people because I was semi famous for, I guess, being who I was at the time. And a lot of people just knew me for that. So,
Oh, I miss that, Amber.
oh, well, rude.
You're just so much fun.
Thanks. Yeah. So go ahead, go explain yourself. Thanks for helping me
You're welcome.
brainstorm.
You're welcome. I think that like I would also say that I was like pretty popular. I think the only difference though is like I grew up a lot of my years in Flagstaff. Like we, you know, like I moved around, but like those are the years like I don't really remember. And like I didn't really like I went out home to school for like maybe like 3 4 months. So like I generally grew up in Flagstaff, and I think that's what made me so popular is that like I actually like went to school with these people for many years, and then like I actually like transferred elementary schools when I was little. So I went from like a low income elementary school to like apparently the like best elementary school in the district because long story
Choosing you.
short, I got kicked out because I was too smart and passing like they didn't have a class for me anymore basically. So they sent me to another school, and so I think that's kind of where I started to like grow my like my friends and whatnot. And then same thing, I went to a middle school that was like technically not in like where I was supposed to go because I did like this mighty program where you learn about like science and engineering. So I followed a lot of my friends there. So like I think I just followed a lot of my friends and then like built those kind of friendships with them. But I think similarly it was because like I also had like a lot of higher end classes, but I also was like friends with a lot of natives, and I was homecoming princess my junior year, if that
Oh,
speaks to
wow.
anything. Yeah, so I think that was like a big move, and I honestly think that the whole reason why I won the homecoming princess was because I was native. And like I think even though there was a lot of natives at our high school, you know, it was still majority white population. So I think that had a lot to do with it. I was a very over involved individual in high school. I think I did a lot more than I actually needed to. I don't know why, actually. Like, I try to look back a lot and I'm like, why the heck was I doing so much? I played volleyball my freshman year. I actually played club volleyball too. Like starting in like middle school up until my junior year of high school. So I knew a lot of people from like the club volleyball teams that I played for that went to other high schools, which helped a lot. I actually was a like tribal royalty for a year. So I tended to go out to Hopi a lot more during those times. What else? I also like being presidents of clubs. So I was like the president of like 3 clubs my senior year. And they were all like a variety of like different kinds of clubs. I don't know. I was just doing way too much. And it's funny because when you said that you ditched the assemblies, I couldn't ditch the assemblies because I was in the assembly. So like
Yeah, that's
I
valid.
so like it was just because I was so involved. And like there were nights because I did also like athletic training, which also helped me like get to know like the athletes because I was their athletic trainer intern.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for my I started my sophomore year and then went all the way to my senior year. But like there were times where I would go to school at like whatever, like 7 a.m. or something like that, and then not get home because I had a football game until like 11 p.m. or something like that. So like I was a very booked and busy gal. I also did the college classes too, which like they combined it with a lot of other high schools. So then again, you're mingling with other high schools. So very similar to Amber, just more like central to Flagstaff, I guess. Um, but I don't know. My favorite time though for sure was junior year. Like I loved my junior year so much. I think that's like when I was the most involved and like it wasn't like I could be involved and not like feel the pressure of having to like prepare for something else, you know?
Yeah.
So so I think that was like a big, like memorable time for me because I also was an athletic training intern. So that was fun. I was also a senior in high or like junior, senior in high school when Dutch Bros became a thing. So like
Oh
I
my
was
God.
like at Dutch Bros all the time. And I also had a car. So I was like, you know, that person I was like, oh, let's go on a Dutch run. And I would like take all my friends in my car and we'd go get Dutch Bros for lunch. And then you'd be all cool walking in with your Dutch Bros. Yeah, that
Wow.
was me. That was me in a
Wow.
bubble.
Yeah, that's interesting because like I wasn't there when you were in high school, so I guess I didn't really know what you were like in high school, but you sound busy.
Amazing. Oh.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. So, before we move into the next section, if you could describe yourself in one word from how others perceived you. So from like say, you know, the people you went to school with, like how do you think they would describe you back in high school?
Just one word.
Well, I guess yeah, a little bit more than that. I can just
Mm,
a blurb.
I think like I want to say like smiley. I in high school people used to call me like super like they used to call me smiley because I was always smiling.
Oh,
And I think that's like something that I think just like sums up like I was very loud. I was very outgoing. Like I
yeah,
don't know why I was raising my hands to take on 3 presidential positions in my senior year of high school, but I did.
true,
I was like the
true.
person that always volunteered to do things. Like we would use my truck when we had like the what is it called? Like the homecoming parade.
The parade.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like I was extra smiley, loud, outgoing. I don't know. Something along those lines. You get a gist.
Yeah, that's funny. I think people would describe me the same. Definitely, I don't know about smiley, but loud. And I would kind of like go on that like verge of class clown in a sense.
Yeah, I
Um,
could see it.
yeah. I was definitely like obnoxious, that's for sure.
Oh yeah,
Um,
same.
I was obnoxious, class clown, loud. That's probably what people would describe me. At least I would hope. If you're if you
Yeah,
went
I
to
was
high
gonna
school with me,
say.
let me know.
Yeah, no, I think I
um,
was kind of similar, but like I don't feel like in a general sense. I think the only time I like got like that, which was kind of often, was with teachers, which is kind of bad. Like
yeah.
I tend to talk
I
back a lot, so I was like,
Me too.
"What do you mean? Like, what do you mean I'm doing something wrong?" Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
I get
I
it.
got in trouble a lot with teachers,
Oh, same. And it was
but it was
probably
just
because
for
I was
being
loud.
obnoxious. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Not
Maybe
true.
it's the genes.
Yeah, probably. Um, that's funny. So, taking it a little bit more like serious from back when you were in high school, what did you like generally think adulthood was going to look like? And that's a big question, but like,
Yeah, that is a loaded question.
um, yeah, like just what was your like initial thought of like what your future would be like?
Initial thought of what my future would be like.
Yeah.
I think that I thought that I would continue to be like I am busy, but I feel like I'm busy with like specific things. I thought that being like an adult you would have like multiple variety of like things, like go out every weekend and do something, or like
Mm,
have to like continuously run errands and like I think like it kind of just portrays that you'll be like super consumed by your life, but like I don't think that you realize that like finances play a lot into that. Time management plays a lot into that. So I think I would just think like just being more busy than what I was in different aspects.
yeah. So maybe you thought you were going to have like more freedom to do a lot of things, but then you realize that there's still restrictions on that.
Yeah, that's a good way of
Like you thought,
explaining it. That's
yeah. Like you thought you
yeah,
were just
like
gonna
I
be
thought I was
free to
gonna
do
be out.
everything.
Exactly. Like I thought I was gonna be at TJ Maxx on Thursday. I thought I was gonna be at Sam's Club on Friday. I thought I was gonna be at the beach on Saturday, and etc. etc. But
So would you say that like the expensiveness of adulthood hit you hard?
yeah, I think
Because
it
that sounded like a
did.
lot of shopping that you can't do
It
now.
did. It did. It did. And I feel like it was like kind of a delayed effect because I feel like college kind of like blinds it a little bit. Like when you're in college,
Yeah.
like being in college, living in a dorm is a lot different than living on your own. And
Yeah.
that is a fact. Like there's so much more that you have to manage on your own,
Yeah.
and like what you're capable of buying, because like we technically live sometimes with a roommate and then having to figure out,
Hmm.
okay, like what do I buy, what do I need, what do we share, and like
Yeah.
those kind of things. But like when you're on your own, you're on your own. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. What about you? I feel like you had like from a perception of a young, person looking up to her sister. I thought you had that shit figured out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did.
Yeah, no, she literally
No.
went and lived on her own. 17. She was like, bye.
Yeah. No, I think that's what went wrong and what went right is that like I thought that adulthood was like not going to be much different than what I was already doing, and I think that's like a good way to look at it because then I don't know, I just feel like I was already
Adulting.
pretty independent, yeah, on my own
Yeah.
as a teenager. So like going into the world was just I didn't think it was going to be that much of a change, but I will say the thing that I was surprised by was probably how much I wasn't comfortable with communicating like on a
Mm,
next level. Like I love to be obnoxious and loud, but like when it came to asking questions, I was not good at that. And that's
yeah.
probably what hit me hard with adulthood, but what I expected adulthood to be like is exactly what adulthood is like. What I didn't get right was that I thought I was prepared and I guess that's a part of growing up, like I was overly confident about going out into the world. And then I realized like I was humbled real quick by the world.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there obviously there's things that you don't know until you know, but
Yeah.
I agree with the communication part. I think that, witnessing individuals now that, may, have had like a later start to this whole like adulthood and like, independence and whatnot. I've always found it interesting how people like communicate with other people and like even like down to like the, asking for extra bacon or something like that when
Yeah.
you're eating
Yeah.
breakfast. And so like it's like those little things that you need to like satisfy your life is like
Yeah.
you're not going to get like people can't read your mind. And
Yeah. Yeah. For
so
sure.
like and they don't necessarily teach you that in high school because you're kind
Hmm.
of just following the rules that are set for
Yeah.
you as a child kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So, yeah, exactly. So, like, I expected adulthood to be what it is, but I thought I was ready and I wasn't. I mean, I
Yeah.
was. I just was very uncomfortable for a while.
Yeah. Interesting.
So what did you like career wise? What did you want to be in high school? And like, yeah, what do you want to be in high school?
That's funny because the other day I actually was looking through my Google Drive that I've had for years now, and I found my 5-year plan that I wrote my junior year of high school. And obviously it's 5 years now from when I graduated from high school. I graduated in 2019. It's 2025, a little over 5 years now. And I was like, oh, Nevaeh, I'm so proud of you. Like, you're on your road to being a biomedical engineer. And I was like, oh.
That's weird because I wanted to be that. Remember?
Yeah,
We just talked about
exactly.
that.
Yeah. I think my road to being a biomedical engineer like stemmed a lot from that Mighty program I did. But I don't think I actually knew the whole like senses of it.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, I thought that they did like I don't know. I feel like it can go a lot of ways. And I work with biomedical engineers now. And they're still not what I thought they would be. Like, I'm like, what the heck?
Right.
I thought that that's what it was. And, I think it's just an interesting field. But that's actually what I applied to for my what is it called?
Undergrad.
My undergrad originally. But
Huh.
actually I also my backup plan was to be a lawyer. So I actually applied law as well.
Wow. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I got accepted to U of A for like pre-law because I forgot to submit my ACT scores and they couldn't like consider me for like a STEM class, but I wasn't going to go there anyway. So it was like a backup, but obviously
Hmm.
now I'm in research. I'm a pre-med student, so
Yeah.
definitely it's kind of in that same area, but a little bit more obviously health heavy.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I thought I was gonna be a rapper. Kidding, not kidding. I know I was gonna be a nurse, and I don't know. Again, it goes back to my little rant. If you guys didn't watch the last episode, go back. Here's a link for
Yeah.
the last episode because at the end I had a little rant about school. But again, it goes back like you said, like you thought biomedical engineering was gonna be your shit because school said so. And it's like if they would have told us what it was really like and maybe given us other options, we would have chose other things.
Yeah.
So I applied my undergrad for nursing. So that's what I got into nursing at all three schools. But of course, you had to do the like pre-nursing before you got actually into nursing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
technically, I got into pre-nursing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I thought I was going to be. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even think I wanted to be a doctor till like literally my last semester of high school. And I was like, oh, that might be a possibility. And here I am, still pursuing.
Sure. That's funny.
Yeah. So here I am, still pursuing what I can. But we'll see. Knock on wood, keep praying for me. We're going to make it through. But yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. Question for you. What were some things that you swore when you were in high school? You were like, I am never going to do this when I'm an adult. Again, loaded question there, but like
that is a loaded question.
There has to be like one specific thing though that you were like, I'm never doing this, and when I'm an adult.
I wanted to say like go back to where I was. Like for those who don't know, maybe we should do an episode on this. But
like physically or mentally? No.
for those who for those who don't know, like I grew up in a young parents, like low income parents, both didn't finish high school, kind of like situation, right? Like you can kind of get the gist off of that. So that means that like I grew up low income and I grew up like with parents who were still young and stuff like that. So I think that my biggest thing that I swore I'd never do was like go back. Like it was only up from here in a terms of like
Yeah,
finances,
that's a good
in a
one.
term of home. Sorry, in the sense of home and just things like that. So
Yeah.
like I didn't want to go back.
Or
and
stay, essentially.
or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like my future was going to be bright and that's what I swore I'd never do and I guess I've kind of lived off of that, but
And here
yeah.
you are. Look at
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. What about you?
Mine's is, I don't know. I feel like mine is the first thing that came to my head that it's not as sentimental now that I think about that, but ditto, first of all. Second, I think mine's was taking a gap year. I swore I was going to go straight through whatever path I pursued. I was like, I am not going to stop until I achieve what I want to achieve, which is very, what is the word for that? Very
Overachieving.
overachieving. Something's a synonym for
Extra
extra. No, there's a specific word. I don't know.
ambitious?
Ambitious. Yes, that is it. That's very ambitious of me to do so or say that because I don't think I understood exactly the mental load of like being in school was. Like I love
Yeah.
school. I like love the idea of like being in like a education setting. But I didn't realize that it would be mentally exhausting because everything I've done so far has been like easy in a sense as far as like
Mhm.
school. So I was like, oh, I can keep on going. And this is my gap year and I'm actually really loving it. I still miss school, but I think I needed it more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that obviously there's probably things like more into my adultness that I'll probably reflect on and be like, oh, I thought I'd never do this, but
Mhm.
I think as of like where I'm at in my adulthood right now, that would probably
Mhm.
be the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think also one thing you don't really understand when you're a kid is like self-love, and that's that sense of that like you didn't understand going was eventually going to like get to you.
Yeah, or like
So it's
that was
hard to
even an
plan.
option to like
Yeah.
not live that lifestyle because I feel like again like going back to like the kind of like household we were raised in, like I feel like we
Mhm.
always had to like kind of work a lot harder than those around us to essentially meet ends
Yeah.
meet. But like now like knowing that like I'll be fine to take a step back, work on myself
Yeah.
as an option. Like I
Yeah.
never thought that was going to be an option for myself, so I thought I just
Yeah.
had to keep pushing, grinding until I got to the point, but
Yeah.
obviously that's
It's
not
like
the case.
yeah, it's hard to plan for a burnout when you don't know what a burnout is yet. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's a
yeah.
really good way of putting it. So here I am, gap year. I'm enjoying it. I'm really trying to use it to my advantage, like mentally and emotionally, to try to figure out like who I am as an adult before I start
Mhm.
taking care of people, because I think that's something that is not talked about often. Is that you have to take care of yourself before you take care of people, especially if your hands are going to be in their body.
Yeah. Yeah, good call out there. um okay, well let's talk about the glow up of those hands and those bodies.
By that, I mean I'm trying to be a surgeon, so don't think I'm like a weirdo putting my hands just in people's bodies. Let me clarify.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well,
Clip that. Clip that.
that's funny. Um, so in what ways would you say you've changed most
um,
since high school?
since high school, how have I changed? I think I've definitely, obviously, have became a lot more wise in the sense of like experience,
Mhm.
obviously. But I think like like particular thing that I can think of. And it's not saying that I wasn't this when I was younger, but I don't think I understood the full potential of what this meant. But I feel like I've become a lot more open-minded. And I think obviously growing up in a community where you're still kind of restricted to like what's in that area, you don't really understand a lot of the world. So I think I've definitely become a lot more open-minded in different areas of the world, more than I could have ever thought I would be.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of has helped me a lot. I mean, I've lived in 3 states now, and I've met so many people from so many different backgrounds. I've seen so many environments, and I think that it has made me a lot more open-minded. And I think that's where I've kind of changed the most, which allows me to kind of have a different perception on life. And I definitely think my vocabulary has also gotten a lot better.
Slight plug.
Slight plug for if y'all didn't watch the last episode, I talked about my reading problems. And so
oh my God, that was I was not expecting that. That's funny. Well, congratulations on both.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's funny. So wait, would you say like the expansion of vocabulary is due to open-mindedness, or were you just throwing that in there?
I was just throwing that in there.
Oh. So
I think like I look back at some videos and I'm like, damn, man, like obviously like it comes back in certain instances, but like I never thought that I would have the vocabulary that I do now, which I think has allowed me to express myself differently in my open-mindedness. There we go.
Yeah. That's funny. Oh my gosh.
Go ahead. How have you changed the most? I want to hear
How have I changed the most? I would definitely say my biggest thing is just communication. That's probably how I've changed the most, because if you don't know me when I was young, yes, I like to talk, but like I never talked about deep things. And I think a lot of that was like childhood trauma, like I never liked to express myself. I never liked to speak up for myself or ask for things, which is what I lacked when I went into adulthood. But over time, I learned how to communicate. I was forced to communicate, I would say, which was really good for me, especially when I was a manager. That taught me a lot of like how to have difficult conversations in a sense. And emotion wise, I think I learned to communicate like to people, like relationship wise, I guess. Yeah. So like with you, like with mom, my girlfriend, friends, stuff like that, like being able to know that it's okay to have a support system emotionally, because I didn't really know what that was like growing up. And then just like bigger, like advocating for myself. Like I've learned to get what I want through communication.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good skill to have. And like as time went on, I eventually learned that. And I think that's like kind of the biggest ways that I've changed.
Yeah.
Just improving my communication, honestly. And it's gotten me where I am, because once I started like flexing that muscle and started like learning communication, like all it brought me was bigger and better things.
Yeah.
And
it could take you a long way.
Changed my life. Yeah. Once I learned how to communicate.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you say has stayed the same about yourself since high school, or since being in high school?
Yeah. I would say I'm going to toot my horn a little bit here, but that ambition, like I said, like out of high school, like I knew it was going to be up from here. Like that's all I've ever wanted. And I think that's all I still think. Like it's a bad thing in a sense, because sometimes I never feel fulfilled, but I also think that's really good, because that helps keep that flame under me and keeps me going, is having that mentality of like, I want bigger and better things, I guess, in a sense, or I want to be better, is how I should really say it. Becoming a better person. So I think that mentality has stayed the same and has helped me also get where I want it to be.
Okay.
And I'm still obnoxious and loud. Some people don't think that, though. Some people think I'm very quiet. Like at work, a lot of people think I'm quiet. But I'm like, you don't really know me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think sometimes it can, but I think it has to go back to that communication sense. You know what I mean? Like, I think it still has a lot to do with trying to figure out how to communicate in different environments. And
yeah.
But also I feel like too, like it just goes back to like our background and as
Mm-hmm.
well. I think it's always funny because like, you know, there's this idea that you have to stay humble, and I feel like sometimes that kind of hinders a lot of things. Which
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out what is that fine line between like being humble but also
Yeah.
like, you know, being in an environment where I'm not necessarily like that necessarily is not a thing. Like there's people out there that flex
Yeah.
every single second they get.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
hard.
No, I feel that. Um, but yeah. So what do you think? What about you? What has stayed the same?
I think very like similar. I think my enthusiasm about like that idea of like doing well and being well and helping people has stayed the same. I think
Hmm.
that's kind of what has kept me going to school to, you know, be something that helps people. And like I don't think if I had that like enthusiasm to keep myself in a positive mindset and like
Mm-hmm.
remember my why, that like I don't think I would have gotten this far.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just kind of being able to continuously find the positive in most situations and
Mm-hmm.
trying to see how like obviously that might apply to my life. So I think definitely just taking any moment I can get, literally like I take every opportunity I get. I literally will join the most random programs ever because, like, you know, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that also has not changed. Like, I will still do a lot of things,
True.
and sometimes I don't. Like, I'm still learning how to say no, um, as well. So I think that has definitely stayed the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have a hard time saying no to yourself.
Yeah, I do. And I think that like now being married and having kind of more of like a settled lifestyle has kind of helped. Honestly, we'll see what like helps is kind of like, you know, we'll figure that out, but
Mm-hmm.
has kind of made me have to say no a lot more, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, obviously I'm freshly married, was it? I'm a newlywed. So, obviously still trying to figure that out. But yeah,
Hmm. Wow. I like that.
thank you. Thank you.
Um. So, what is like one big? Let's talk about like one big moment in life, like maybe a big win or a big lesson that truly shaped who you are today. Like just maybe just one moment in life or one thing in life.
Mm, I think one big moment that kind of shifted my mentality to like become who I was. That's kind of a hard one because I don't know if I've hit that
Shaped
moment.
you.
I don't know if I've hit that moment. I'm gonna be
Hmm.
honest. I think that's like I can name some sort of like
Yeah.
wins that I've had, but I don't think it has necessarily like shaped me into like the person I am completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like so I don't know. I think one that comes to mind at least like for at the point that I am right now, I think is definitely my graduation from my undergrad because I
Mm-hmm.
think that obviously that's a moment that like in particular like anything that kind of comes after it is kind of like a plus, you know what I mean? But I think specifically like attaining like at least a bachelor's, like that just kind of goes to show like you're already more than, you know, what you were intended to be by like statistics. Like, you know, you weren't like coming from a family that didn't have like our parents didn't have a college education or a high school diploma. We like statistically were supposed to follow in those same like steps, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like because we kind of already beat that odd, I think that was kind of like maybe a moment that's allowed me to kind of
Mm-hmm.
become who I am and become more like um excited to see what else I can do.
Yeah.
But also I think just like the event itself, like I went to school in Minnesota. I think those are also moments where you realize that like you like have a certain support system in your mind when you're in high school, but that changes a lot as you get older. And I don't think that I was prepared for that also. So I think that also kind of came and contributed to the idea of like me understanding that like as an adult, you really only have yourself, and understanding that there's certain lines that have to be drawn, which, you know, in high school, you're a child. So there's not as much, like force from others to feel like they need to be a part of your life. But like when you're at that point and you have this big achievement or whatever, you realize that doesn't follow throughout your life, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's allowed me to kind of become a little bit more attention towards myself, and understand that maybe is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I'm still reaching it. We'll see in a couple of years if that might change. Maybe there just might be like this epiphany or this life moment that might lead to me being shaped. But obviously, I have a lot to go. So
that's funny. Yeah. Well, that's.
do you have one yet? Do you feel like you have one yet?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think like becoming a leader of people may shape me a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
So like becoming that general manager, like I literally would think that's going to be the most pivotal thing in my life because it unlocked who I truly can be and who I am. Kind of like what you're saying is like, it showed me the potential of myself and also showed me truly what I'm passionate about, which is people and business.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like if I never became that, I definitely would have never realized my potential of being a leader. Like if say all my entrepreneurial shit doesn't work out and I never make money off of this podcast, like my ultimate career goal, like normal career, would be to be a manager or a leader in a company. Like literally, like everybody on my team, they always say that one day I'm gonna be the CTO because like I let people know that is like my goal is to become a manager. Like my goal is to become good into leadership, and my goal is to like be at those levels of making the calls and seeing the vision and helping people achieve it.
Yeah.
So like that's my goal in life. And I think that goes with business too, is like I want to be a leader of a business, you know, an owner, but like ultimately leading the business.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't think I would have ever realized my leadership potentials if I never became one. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's probably my big, maybe I'm lucky I got shaped early.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it also kind of depends on what your like idea of like, you know, obviously what your own goals are and your own personal like, you know, stages of where you're at in life. It might differ. And I, you know, maybe it is on the horizon. I really don't know, but I think it's definitely something that I feel like it's something you would know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah, you can't force it.
Can't force it. Can't force it. Obviously, there's moments I'm proud of. There's things that I've done that I'm like, you know, have contributed to my mentality and my mindset. But I think I'm still trying to shape who I am as a person and you know, how I might necessarily contribute to said world.
Yeah. 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 Huh.
Huh.
Huh. That's funny. Okay, so just kind of before we close it up, do you think your younger self would be proud of you? And what do you think would be the biggest surprise to you right now? Like high school you, senior day. What do you think would have surprised them and would they be proud of you?
I think 100%. I'm obviously proud of myself, and I know that little Nevaeh is just as proud of like where I'm at in life and where I'm heading in life as well. Because I think a lot of the times, like when you're going to medical school or planning to go to medical school, it's a very like blurry, like blurry vision until you actually like get to the point of where you're like maybe graduating from medical school. Then it kind of becomes a little bit clearer. So I think like at least like having it unblurred a little bit, I think that's what they like, having an idea is what my younger self would be proud of. But ultimately I think that little Nevaeh our high school Nevaeh, I should say. I think that she would be very surprised that she is married right now. I think that was a big pivotal point in my life, and maybe we'll have an episode. When I'm 1 year out, we'll have an episode on my marriage. But I think being married and also living where I live now and going to the school that I have gone to school, because a lot of the things that I'm doing, I don't think that, like, literally I chose to go pre-med my senior year, my last semester of high school. And so I think ultimately just knowing that I've made it this far and I'm still committed.
Yeah.
And have a whole family and living in North Crackalacken.
Oh my God. There we go again.
I think that's what she would be most surprised about. She'd probably be like, what the heck are you doing way out there?
Yeah. That's funny. That's true. Oh, little Nevaeh, I remember.
Yeah.
She was so small.
I'm so small. I was so small. Any words for yourself that you think
little Amber would have been proud of you too?
Oh.
So yes, I think my younger self would be proud. I think yes. I mean, that's kind of like a stupid question, huh? Like, of course I'd be proud, you know?
Yeah, no, obviously too, again, like, it depends on where you're at in your life. Like, everybody's achievements look very different, and I probably would still say I'm proud if I wasn't a doctor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think ultimately, just getting to the point of where I'm able to eat food comfortably,
self-sustain.
Yeah, drink water comfortably, sleep in a good bed comfortably. Like, I think those are all things to be proud of. Yeah. It's a hard world out there.
True. Sometimes you wake up and you're just proud that you woke up.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. What I would be most surprised about my younger self would probably just be like all the shit I went through to get here. Like, in a sense, like, I had college and life planned out, right? Like, again, the full ride scholarship, like 4-year university, like, life was already looking up from there. But then, like, I took a bunch of swirlies and jumped off a cliff and, like, random things like that. I'm like, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And I'm happy, like, no regrets, like, that it all happened because I learned a lot from it, and, life happened literally. So I think that would surprise me the most, because, like, to me, younger self me thought, like, oh, you have this great path out ahead of you, like, it's gonna be like easy. But then I'm like, oh, nope, I made it hard for myself, and good thing and bad thing. But like, I ended up where I wanted to be, which is successful. It just took a little bit of a different route. So.
Yeah. So you like already knew you'd be, like, had the you knew you were going to be successful. I think it's just the route that it took that was surprising overall. It's like how many twists and turns it took to get to there.
Exactly. It's like literally my graduation day, I saw my future, like the goal ahead, and then, like, I thought it was just gonna be a clear path, but then I, like, started walking, and then I fell down and rolled and twirled and went the wrong way. It's like,
it's
but
like
it was
Super
there.
Mario Bros.
Yeah,
it's like in the Super Mario Bros. When you're gonna go in a tube and then you go into this whole new world.
And then yes, that's a surprise.
That's funny. No, I could see that though. I could see that. I think also too, like, obviously looking from the perspective of, like, younger person looking up to her sister, I think that it was a little wishy-washy for a minute. But I was also just, like, more just proud of the fact that, like, you had a home and back to the whole, like, bare minimum. But, like, again, like, it's something to be proud of being able to have your own home and maintain a home, even just that, because I think depending on obviously the community we grew up in, that doesn't come very often, unfortunately. And that's not anybody's fault, but I think it's just what was kind of the cards we were dealt. So I think overall you're doing quite well over there.
Yeah.
Talking about your
so are you
your spaced Wi-Fi. What'd you call them?
A mesh system.
Your mesh system Wi-Fi. Who knew? Are you surprised you have one of those now?
I don't have one yet.
Okay, good.
But when
Going
I
to
have
have
one, I'll be excited. Yes.
I'll be surprised.
Every little win is a win, you know?
A win is a win.
So we want to know, when did you guys realize that like you've officially grown up? And then do you think you've grown up yet? Like, and again,
Yeah.
we say growing up is not a moment, but a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
But like, when did you hit that point of like, you realized you were no longer high school you?
Yeah. Again, Amber with the loaded questions over here.
Oh my gosh. Thanks.
No, I think that would be great to hear because I feel like a lot of the times, like especially if you are, a younger viewer and you're ready to graduate high school, I think that, these moments can be scary a lot of the
Yeah.
times. It's so much uncertainty, so much new environments, new experiences, new responsibilities that kind of come with like this, moment of like adulthood that you're kind of almost thrown into. And unfortunately, like sometimes you're not prepared to the full potential. Sometimes
Yeah.
the education system just lets us down in those ways of being like prepared for what comes with adulthood. So I think it would be nice for those of you who have experienced it to, leave some comments below about those
Yeah.
moments that you recognized as yourself growing up. And then if you're a younger viewer, questions for those who have experienced that,
Yeah.
or what do you want to learn about these transitions, or how, recommendations for coping with these things, because it's a big moment, graduating from high school and finding your path, because at that point it's really up to you, and
Yeah.
you kind of make
Literally,
what you want of it.
yeah, literally the world is your oyster. Like I say that a lot to a lot of younger, like our brother graduated high school a year ago, and I'm like, you can literally do anything. Like you are in a great spot. Like it'll be rough. Like it's not going to be easy, but like you are fresh into the world with endless opportunities. And no hate to nursing and biomedical engineering, but there is more to the world than nursing and biomedical engineering. So
Exactly.
if you want to know more about different career opportunities, like, ask those questions and meet people and learn some things that you haven't learned before.
Yeah, and definitely know that you're not alone in a lot of this. Like there's literally millions of other seniors that are graduating and having
Yeah.
that same transition. I think that's like what college, at least being in a college environment, you kind of get that like, resonate with
Yeah.
people, but find those communities, find those friendships, and have these conversations.
Yep.
Take that communication on early on.
Yeah. And it's not a race to growing up, in reality, we never really fully grow up. So
Nope.
don't feel the pressure of knowing it all now, because we still don't know everything. And that's how it'll always be.
Right. There's always more to growing up.
So thanks everybody for tuning in to today's conversation. I hope you guys really enjoyed that one, because I really did. And yeah, congratulations to those who are graduating high school this year, or maybe even college. And
the class of 2025.
Yeah, class of 2025. That is insane.
That is insane.
Yeah, congratulations to you all. And make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on social media. We got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And yeah, like this video, comment down below. Let's see some interactions from our followers. And again, if you guys prefer audio, we do have our episodes posted on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So make sure you guys listen to us there as well. And we will catch you guys all
in the next episode.